Alright, hello and welcome back to Game Design Speedrun. I am Keith D. Franks III of Cardless Board Games. What we did last time was another Game Design Speedrun. The current record is 1 hour 47, which we're going to try and beat in this video. The rules are pretty simple. You start off with a really generic idea. Last time it was playing combos. The first one was tug of war. This one I have hand management is the idea, and some art assets. And the art that I've got for today's video is, let me bring it up, is some exercise pictures. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to fit in with everything. But what I'm thinking of doing, first up, let's bring up Photoshop. Okay, move this over to my other screen. I'm going to cut out some of these people to make the cards that I want. So just bring this over. Zoom right in. So I had a list of different exercises. Let's see if we can use magnetic lasso. Yeah, so I had a list. Oh, that's a bit too close. Let's try that again. Maybe let's start somewhere that's not the same color as the background. There we go. You won't have to do the top manually. Yeah, so I looked for a exercise routine and then went and found I basically searched for each of the things. So for example, this is a lunge. When I got like sit-ups and stuff also. Considering magnetic lasso does most of the work. This is quite focus intensive. I can trim some of this stuff at the bottom. Grab that shoelace. So previously I've been like cutting things out is going to be too hard, but for this one I want to try two different things. The first one is creating flat symbols using their poses. Man, scrolling is like really, it's just really painful. Okay. I might just do like a big area around and then come in so I don't have to do the magnetic. Alright. Select inverse. No, that's the wrong. Yeah, a few different ways, but it's okay. There we go. Touch up with my eraser. A few different things. Like that, like this little spike here. Oops, too much. Get a little bit there. Doesn't need to be perfect. First thing I'm going to try is turn it into a flat icon. Get rid of that. Yeah, perfect. See how the one goes at this? Nah. That's okay. It's really difficult to see. So basically we're making a shape the icon is going to be, and the icon is supposed to be lunges basically. probably good enough. It's one of those things where having a pen and tablet kind of setup would be really good. That's alright. Smooth it around a little bit. Alright, that's probably fine. Alright, so let's create a new layer. Come to here, select everything, and then select inverse, which will make it just around her, which is really, really handy. Then we go to the other layer, grab the bucket, and lunges can be red. So turn this down. Lunges can be red. Bam, now we have a red outline for lunges. That turned out alright. It's pretty easy to see what's going on here. There might be a few lines that we can add to make it a bit less of a big red block. So maybe not that. Again, this is me doing art, and art is not the thing that I do. I'm drawing on the wrong layer. So now I gotta draw it and I can't see it. But that's okay. This is gonna turn out really poorly, I think. Yeah, it is. Alright. We're stuck with the big red blob because I can't draw. But that's fine. So that's the first one. Lunge. And I'll keep the model cut out as well, because I might come back to that. Let's do our next one. Wait, that's lunges. I don't need another lunges. Squats. Okay, cutting this out shouldn't be too hard. Again, I'm going to have to scroll up and down, which is really awkward. Maybe I can do it here, so it's not so bad. Just use my binoculars to really, oh no, the tattoo. So magnetic lasso basically checks brightness for the most part and uses that, oh no, to try and draw lines around shapes, which is really handy. Because you can use it to cut things out. I normally just use the regular lasso, but that just makes polygons. Not very good for cutting people out, but like pretty good for cutting shapes out. Get his hair. Okay. Turn on the random equipment in the background. All right. Easy enough. Oh no. Okay. Slide down, get the bottom of the shoe. I'll have to tidy that up, but that's okay. Come up, get between the legs, I think it's about there. So there's going to be parts where the magnetic lasso can't see, or I can't even see, where you can just click and make a manual point. I don't usually use the mag lasso to get anything too fidgety, but it's good for making a good outline like this. Alright, select inverse, delete everything. That's not so bad. Tidy it up with the eraser. Because it's automated to an extent, there's always going to be margin of error. It doesn't need to be perfect, but I really don't want him to have spines. So you might be able to use this. Bonk. Nope. Magic Wand does the same thing. Or it just tries to detect as much of the brightness as it can. Let's shake him a bit blocky. Is that? Grab some of the fingers. I feel like most of the time spent in this speedrun is going to be making these, but there's only 4. There's only 4 to do, so that's not so bad. Select inverse, create a new layer, go to the other layer. So lunge is red, so let's make squats blue. So this really needs some like lines for definition, so you can see that there's 2 arms there, like maybe it's a leg here, but that's not for today. Let's come back to that when we're close to finishing. I might zoom out slightly. That's way too much. Alright, we'll make it work. We just might have to scroll down slightly for the shoes, but that's okay. Try and speed this up a little bit. So I still have no idea what this game's gonna be. I thought I would challenge myself and pick a theme of something I don't see very often, for starters, and secondly, not something that I'm very across. I don't know if you noticed or if you've ever seen what I look like, but I'm not the most going to the gym person. I walk to the supermarket and that's me. I don't need to lift heavy things to stay in shape. I also figured with the amount of fitness bloggers and all that kind of stuff, there'd surely be stock art for a few different things, and I was right. Which has made this a bit easier. I need to rasterize first. Boom. Alright, let's tidy up some stuff with the wand. Good start. Make it anything on the this, yep. Yeah, tidy up that inner space. Oops. Yeah, I'm on the right layer. Oh, I've still got something selected. That's the other problem is when you're using the magic wand to delete stuff, you have to click out. So if you use it to get a whole bunch of things, it's not so bad. Let's check if that'll show up. It's a bit awkwardly cut some of her arm off, but that's alright. Spotty. Okay, that's horrifying. I might just leave that. In fact, it's not that important. Okay, smidge some of that. Alright. Good stuff. Select everywhere else. Select inverse. Create a new layer. And then in the new layer, we're going to make it green. They just look like blobs. Alright. Sorry, I'm gonna add some really bad black lines to it later. I might just do very straight ones rather than me drawing something in. Yeah, I thought this one would be much easier, that's why I grabbed it. You can just delete all of the shadow space. Look at that. Look how easy that was. There's actually a lot of stock art that's filmed in a white room. And with that first project that I did, we used the Smithsonian open access stuff. and it. Whoops. And a lot of that stuff is photograph taken on a white background, which makes it very easy to orange. See, this one looks great. All right. So I might group them individually so it doesn't get too confusing. All right. So let's go back to black. Let's get these. Draw this layer. So maybe if we cut out these sections on a grid, that might work, right? So we go to this layer, delete, come back to this layer, pick this, come back to this layer, delete. How does that look? So that's heaps better already. Okay, so we can do that for the other ones. Oh, I have the wrong layer selected. I still have the wrong layer selected. Okay, and then maybe like a line along here or something. Does that look terrible? Comes like all the way down here to his shoulder. I mean, as an icon, it really just needs to be recognizable from a distance, right? So we can probably still tell that's a squat, so I don't really think it matters that much. And then our last one just has this spot. I don't know how much better that'll make it. But it gives us a little bit of definition. It would be good if there was a gap here to do this, but that's alright. So let's hide these for now. And for one of my other projects, I have some, let's hide you for a second. I might import everything into a new document, make the new document card template size. But what we're going to grab is this. I was thinking of using this as the background. Make it slightly the right size. There we go. Let's delete that. Okay, so let's do our boundaries first, because that's pretty quick. And the next one's 50. Rotate. 75. New guide. 1050. Okay, so like I said at the start, the plan was to work with hand management. So I'm thinking you have a hand of cards and each one of them is a type of exercise. And you're trying to get rid of all the cards in your hand, and when a player wins, the other player has to perform all of the, like for example, if you have a hand of 10 sit-ups and you lose, you have to do the 10 sit-ups. Basically, you're fighting to not exercise and pushing the other person to exercise. Think of it like a drinking game, but instead of alcohol, you have to do 10 lunges or worse. So I understand that there's an incredibly niche market for the kind of person that would want to play this, but that's not the issue behind this kind of video series. Is the idea is to be able to build an entire game in under 2 hours. Like normally as a game designer, you're looking at marketability. Is this theme going to appeal to people? Is a publisher going to want to pick this up? Can I get this funded on Kickstarter? And we don't care about any of that right now. We're just making something goofy and fun, letting you get a chance to look at some of the skills involved. And I get to practice a bit where it comes to making games, which I think for me is the most part. Alright, so I'm just going to import all of our things over here. Let's make it a bit smaller. Very tall for an icon. So I could have it as a big centered thing. Which could work. Let's make it icons. I'm just going to name things so that I don't get them confused later. Okay, grab this, paste this. And so I'm going to leave all the layers on so I can make them approximately the same size. It's a little bit smaller. Something like that. Usually when I'm doing a long project, I make sure I group everything, I layer everything, which can help a lot. This is really flat compared to the other ones. Maybe wide is a better way to describe it. I really don't want it to be wider than the bounds, you know. Maybe I'll just go like this. That'll have to do. I was in the wrong layer, wasn't I? No. Why is it an empty layer? Still an empty layer. How bizarre. Let's try this. Yeah, much better. This is, if I shoot it off screen, I might be able to go and get it. Yeah, this one's really long. So what I might do, make it diagonal and get a little bit more space out of it. Right, now I can do it the same with the green one. What I might do is make it face the other way, rotate it up like this. Okay, so we've now got our four, I guess they're suits, right? Our four different types of exercise that could be inflicted upon a person. This is sit up. This is push up. I could have gone beyond and done like crunches, burpees, backflips, whatever the thing was grabbing me at the time. But I think 4 is probably a good to start, right? So let's just grab our first one. Let's actually move them all down slightly, make them bottom justified. Excuse me. So we've now got our title box, which I might make a little bit bigger. Make sure no one interferes with the title box. Cool. Alright, so the title box is going to be the name of the exercise. A really big font, probably 90. So this is lunge. It'll still be bigger again. Maybe 120. Yeah. Maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe 130. Alright. But there it is. Okay, so go this. Make make that centered. So when you put in guidelines, things will snap to them. And the text box has a button in the center that you can use to snap to center things. So for now I've got lunge. What I might do is add a color effect to this. So the second one, I'm gonna make, actually I want to, yeah. Okay. It's like manually making a drop shadow. Keeps snapping to a spot I don't want. I'm just gonna move the whole thing over here and try and maybe like that. And then center it. It's a little bit too far off. That's a bit better. That's just to the right. Means I have to do all the others like that. But that's okay. It's like more readable. Using it just a white drop shadow, I don't think would look as good. Because it'll always be from one direction. This one's like a slide. Anyway. Alright. Titles. And then the reason why I wanted to do that is because I want to add numbers. I think they're all just going to be 1. Like every lunge card is 1 lunge. Maybe. Maybe. Thinking about what the gameplay is going to be like, because I might need a fifth suit. Anyway, let's. That's the wrong spot. Needs to be over here. GDSR exercise. Alright, and we'll save. Make a new folder for just the cards. And this one's lunge. Let me get squat. Try and do the same thing. There we go. Skew it. The blue and the black doesn't quite. Maybe I need a lighter blue so it's a bit easier to see. Just paint bucket. It's a bit better. After I convert to smart object, I can no longer edit it with a text tool. Just whatever, just because I have to go and paint bucket each of the things. I could do the same. See how this looks. Make this white. So it needs to be underneath. It's the same effect. I'm worried that it's just going to make it really confusing. But let's try that. I'll go and fix the other one. Squat JPEG. Yep. Let's make it one. Back here, do lunge. Make a copy of lunge. make it white. Move it slightly over. Okay, just combine them so I don't have a bunch of extra layers. Okay. Bucket. Move the layer down. Means I have to move the whole thing over a little bit. That's fine. Sit up. And then the copy needs to be this color. Take the white, slide it a little bit. It's a little closer than the other ones, it's not that bad. So this is mostly the, and same as the other videos, the first half of all the game designers, the graphic design. Normally, real game designers have lots of notes before there's any pictures, lots of ideas before there's anything. For these challenges, I find it's easier to do it the other way around. When you know the exact scope, oops. Yeah, when you know, oh, I want behind maybe, I like that. When you know the exact scope, it's easier to go, okay, can I have this? Yes. Can I have this? No. Push up. Imagine you're in high school and you go to PE class and your PE teacher's like, all right, everyone, for a break, we're gonna play a board game. Everyone's like, hells yeah. And they pull this monstrosity out and then everyone just like hates them immediately. Alright, push up, save. Okay, I will save the document as well. No, I don't need that. Alright, so let's go to GDSR. I really should pin that. Alright, I'm gonna make a new text document. I accidentally tried to open the text document with Photoshop. Not ideal. Control plus. Just so I can see how big it is. I'm gonna bring it right up so that you can see it in the video. That's as big as it goes. Alright. Exercise. Embarrassingly remembering how I can't spell anything. Okay, so hand management. The aim is to get all of the cards out from your hand. The losing player must perform the exercise on the cards remaining in their hand. So this could be done as a series where, so if it was like trumps, for example, in that you'll be like, I'm playing something, I don't know, do you like announce a category and then you play a card and then the other person has to try and play a card, and the two traits of each card is measured against each other. So if you're like, oh, I pick strength, you play your card, the other person plays a card, whoever has the highest strength wins the round, right? So if we did something like that, we could create a series where there's like 10 push-ups. Or we'd do 10, maybe 4. It's 4 of each, so like 1, 2, 3, and 4. And where if you play something, the higher number wins, and then the other person gets given an exercise that they have to do, or something. I don't know. Which could work, but that's an existing game basically. Could also make a scissors paper rock style thing where like a suit is announced and you're trying to play things in that suit, or like make it like where you have the numbers 1 to 4 and you can either play something that matches the suit or matches the number, and if you can't play a card you have to pick up the whole discard pile. Again, that's still but fitness it's like a remix. I'm sure there's something else we could add to it, so there's not just directly but I feel like each card just being one push up or one sit up is not going to be the best. Looks like this is where our negative space is best. Alright, so here, behind this guy's head, next to the lunge. So we're gonna put a number, let's make it white. 1. Make a copy of 1. That is not what I intended to do. And we'll make these purple, I guess, is the main color that I haven't. Here we go. Actually, what I might do, I might cheat a little bit here. 4. Alright, because I know. No, it's the same one. Let's hide that. Because I know that I'm using all 4 numbers, I can just make all of them at once and then cut them out after I make it an image. Convert to smart object. Rasterize the layer. Layer by cut. Layer by cut. Oops, wrong layer. Layer by cut. Layer by cut. So this is 1, 2, is that right? That's 2, yeah. 3, 4. Now I gotta put them all in the same spot. So I might just align to that corner. I'm gonna make them slightly bigger. Like this. Four's the biggest one. Does that interfere with any of our art? No. I can bring this guy back up. Good stuff. So he's centered again. Cool. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and delete all the cards we just made. And then we're going to go the whole series. So it's going to be 16 cards, and then we're going to have 2 of something else. Alright, so 1. These should be in a group. 2. Music just stopped. It was like, are you still watching? exactly moments like this as to why I brought in the background music from the previous episodes don't have that. Where there's inevitably going to be a section where I'm just like repeatedly punching out a bunch of cards. And it's not very exciting to look at. And there's not much exciting for me to say, mostly. I mean, ever, really. Come on. I try to do it pretty quickly, obviously, because this is a speed run, but I see, so it's just less boring stuff for you to look at. Alright, lunge. 16. Okay, so now we've got our series. Looks like this, where each activity, each exercise has a 1, 2, 3, and a 4. Now, I think the main reason why Uno works is that the deck is of a particular size. That means that statistically there's a pretty high chance of you hitting something. If we were to use that kind of Uno play style here, you'd play one card and then there's only 4 other cards that exist that could potentially go on top of that. And that number gets smaller every single time. Right? So if I play squat 1, you can play more than that, sorry. 5. You can play push up, lunge, or sit up 1, and then squat 2, 3, or 4. And then every time you play another squat card, there's less squat cards. But if you play another squat card, there's the same number of other things that you can transition into. And if the deck is split between 2 players, in theory, you could play it all out so that no one has to do any exercise. So picking up the whole discard pile doesn't really accomplish that much. And then like a rock, paper, scissors thing doesn't work so great either. You could do like a hidden movement thing where, because it's 16 cards, right? Players build a grid, a 4x4. Just gestured that off screen, but anyway, a 4x4 grid, and then you have to plot a path from one end to the other. It's much less a game and a bit more an accessory to a routine. Let's come back to our notes. So, close that. The aim is to get all of the cards out of your hand. So, you have to figure out how we're doing that. Are we discarding cards? Is this go fish? You're like, hey, do you have 2 squats? Is it a bidding system? Or it's like it could be bidding set collection, right? Where that's interesting. So you have a few cards in hand and the deck is the rest of the cards, right? Top card of the deck comes over and the top card of the deck is 1 sit-up. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna try and collect sit-ups because that's the exercise I am partial to. And then I'm gonna bid one squat. I don't like squats. I'm gonna bid one squat, right? And then squat becomes the currency upon which sit-ups are bought for that round. And so the other player can bid more squats. They're like, look, I'd rather do one sit-up. I'll bid, 3 squats. And so the highest bid in squats buys you the sit-up, and then the other person has to have all of the squats put in their hand, which means that they could potentially bid you would just put it all back down again. You'd be like, oh look, here's all those squat cards that I got. So you would have to have a pile that's like stuff that has been given to you, which is not that great either. At the moment I'm thinking of making 2 of each copy, so it's a 32 cards. And if it's going to be bidding, it's not going to be like 2 is greater than 1. It can be like, here's my 2 and my 3 to make 5 or something. Or it could be like a mastermind game, right? Where it's like sit up, squat, lunge, and you're trying to figure out what the pattern is or something. Well, these feel a lot like building the routine. Much less like the initial drinking game-esque vision that I had, which is a little annoying. I don't hate it if it goes in that direction, but it feels a lot less like a game. We could build a track, right? So another tug of war type thing. And it's like a trick taking game. Whenever you win a trick, the track moves towards the other person. And the track would be small. It would be like 2 spots either side. So like 2 consecutive wins beyond the center. So like if the other person has 1 win, you have to win 4 consecutive wins to get there. And then when the track hits the end, whatever cards are in your hand are what exercises you have to do, which I think isn't terrible. And building a track is going to be pretty easy. I probably shouldn't have closed that, but anyway, let's save this, make something new, probably make it A4. Yeah. So I accidentally closed my art thing. So go and find, alright, so let's use that. Navigate all these folders. Realistically, it doesn't need to be A4, but alright, that has like a really big table presence. This is huge. Anyway, so we need to break it into 5 spots. So it is 3,500 pixels long. So so we're looking at increments of 700. Yeah, and 1,400. So this is our, you can't see some of the guides, or my mouse actually. Anyway, so these are our 5 segments. The top to make like a center one. What is interesting about this? No. I think I have to use the box, and the box will snap too. What I can do is I might hue adjust. So I could just hue adjust this top section, right? Yeah, take down the brightness a little bit. And then I can make a series of different colored segments. So I make this figure out a nice transitionary color. I don't know if I want the center to be dark, but that's where it's headed. And maybe the center gets to be yellow, and then the bottom moves towards red. You get a nice transitionary color. There you go, there's an orange. Back to here. And then let's do it again. Move this way. More red, okay. So I don't know that these really need titles, right? Like, unless if moving onto it like makes them draw cards, right? So that's something there. So let's just convert this to a smart object. So it's all one thing, and I don't have to deal with the stuff anymore. Doesn't need to be that big anymore. Play 2. Play 1. Someone's going to have it upside down because I'm not going to do that whole thing. It didn't work last time when I tried to do it the easy way. Can probably just rotate it, right? Last time I did it, I like inverted it instead of flipping it around, and it was too hard. So now make this slightly smaller. There we go. Draw a card. Yep. So I can duplicate that. I probably should have done that before flipping it over, because then I wouldn't have to flip it over. Whoops. Undo that. This is one I'm going to copy. Bit of a... Okay, so the way this works is you start in the center, everyone draws their starting hand, and then whenever somebody wins a trick, they move up or down, and then the player on that side does the effect, so it draws a card. So the green side where player 2 wins is actually the player 1 side. No. It's your opponent draws the cards, not you. And then if it goes back to the center, both players draw a card. Alright, so just gonna save this as a PDF. Track. Come back to this. Alright. track. Whenever a player wins a trick, the track moves along towards that player. Track starts in the center, and whenever let's just say paperclip, because that was what we're using for the other one. Whenever the paperclip moves onto a new space, that effect is triggered. In the center, both players draw a card. In the outermost spaces, the named player, side facing them, wins. The other two spaces force the opponent to draw a card. Right? So that's the track. And whenever a player wins, the opponent must perform the exercises on the remaining cards in their hand. So that's not so terrible. We're now focused on the track, and you're trying to push and pull, and it makes you draw a lot of cards every time it returns to the center. So eventually you're going to probably draw the entire 32 card deck or whatever. Maybe we make our 2 bonus cards reset the track. You know, like you can play this anytime to move it back to the center. Both players draw a card, which isn't bad, because when you're getting rid of a card to reset the track, you draw a card to replace it, but your opponent, their hand size goes up by 1, which is not so bad. So we might come back to this. And go. It's back to 60. You go 130. Reset the track. So I need a new line. Too big. Okay. Okay. We're gonna do the same color effect. Make this bright red. Pull it over. I want it down. Okay. We should center that a little better before I push it. So more like here, I think. Reset. Okay. Get rid of that. So we've got our track as well. Now we just need to do the rules page. New international paper. Blank. Title. So we have to figure out how our trick taking works, right? So, oops. Let's bring up our cards again, so we can have a look. So, tough, hey, tough. So if a person is picking up the discard pile, they're going to get a lot of cards in hand, and then the track makes the loser draw cards as well. So they're going to have a big card advantage. So if the loser has a card advantage, moving the track backwards or forwards, right, will always favor the loser. So it'll always just bounce around the center and it will never really make it to one end. What we kind of want is a incremental lead build up so that the game's not infinite. And because the cards are finite, one person, or like a tiebreak or something would trigger. Okay. So we could do inverted. Rather than high bid, it's low bid. You flip the top card of the deck and it tells you what suit it is. And you're trying to play the lowest card. And then if you successfully play the lowest card out of both players, the other person picks up the thing. Which isn't the worst. But then that means that, so basically deck flips the top card, each player reveals one card at the same time. And then the lowest card, the lowest number wins, and then everyone else gets cards. So then if you have an off-colored card, it would be like +1. Like playing a suit of the wrong color gives it value +1. So if the suit is squats and you play lunge 1, it's not lunge 1, it's lunge 2. Which means that there's only one card that wins the round. Bites like automatically, unless if that's the card flipped. And then you play your reset the track card at any time, which isn't terrible. That makes both players draw a card. Need to find a way to push the track, especially with reset the track cards, because you just get a bounce infinitely. I think a tiebreaker is when the whole deck gets drawn, both players have to do all of the stuff that's in their hand. So there's probably a if we're keeping all of the cards alive or it gets put into the other person's hand, it just gets like infinitely bigger, right? So maybe a discard focused thing is better. And drawing cards out of the deck is how you get punished. Which means that the track probably needs to make you draw more cards than that. More cards than 1. It's a real noodle scratcher. I did kind of like the wager idea, where you bet on stuff and you build a pile of exercise you're willing to do. So maybe we have it so that you're trying to collect a set or something, and when you collect a set, when you discard a set, you move the track. That could work. But in getting cards to collect the set, you're going to struggle Because if you're losing, you're a card, which helps you collect a set, which pushes the thing back. Okay, so let's define the phases of the turn, right? So phases. 1. Both players draw a card. I like the idea of it being simultaneous too. Both players reveal and discard a card simultaneously. Check for sets. If a player has a set of 4 cards sharing a color or sharing a number, it can be discarded, which is how you get your hand size down. Then we're just cycling and doing nothing. Alright, so we're just throwing out cards for no particular reason. Okay, so maybe not discard. Both players reveal a card simultaneously. The player whose card has a higher number takes both cards. Check for sets. If the player has a set of 4 cards sharing a color or sharing a number, they can be discarded. When a set is discarded, move the track 1 space towards your victory. Then we go activate track conditions. So after you've discarded your cards, you've got your set, you move forward 1 space, activate track conditions, your opponent draws a card. Draw 2 cards. So your hand size is always increasing. You get rid of 1 at a time until you get a set of 4, and then you can bin a bunch of cards. You start off with 4 cards in hand. With 4 cards in hand. This is probably fine, but then we add the players may play the reset the track card at any time to move the track to the center space. In the first phase. So instead of it being like, rather than losing the game, let's go back to the start at the beginning of a turn. And it's really only moved back 1 space every time. Okay, so I'm okay with that. It's not especially inspired, but I think it would be interesting to still play. The idea is that the cards in your hand are still building up. And the person that's able to discard more sets makes the other person stuck doing nothing. So let's get stuck in on the rulios. So first thing first, 2 players, 20 minutes. I'm gonna say 18 plus because I don't like the idea of forcing kids to do exercise. but parental discretion can always override my suggestions. Honestly, no one should ever play this game. It's an experiment. It's not. It's not designed for fun. It's designed to punish the other person. Anyway, set up. Skills margins. Move everything over. Like this. Alright, set up. I'm going to bring this font. Okay. So, setup is shuffle all of the cards and place them face down in the center of the table. And deal, and deal 3 cards to each player. Place the track beside the deck and clip the paper clip to the center. Yeah, I changed my mind from 4 cards to 3 cards, which is fine. Okay, let's go to, I think that's all the stuff we need. Let's go to gameplay. Oh man, my typing skills are always so bad when I'm rushing. We're doing okay on time. We're at 1:12, so it might be a new high score if I can finish this pretty quickly. Gameplay. Starting with the last player to cancel a gym membership. Actually, we don't need a first player. Everything happens simultaneously. Dang. Gameplay is performed in a series of phases as follows. Phase 1. Both players draw 2 cards. Phase 2. Both players choose a card from their hand to reveal. Simultaneously. Player whose card has a higher number takes both cards. Phase 3. So this is still basically a set collecting game, but rather than, for example, phase 10, where each turn is draw and discard, did I make a set? No, like move on. Instead, phase 2 works like a way for you to get rid of stuff, but you might accidentally end up picking it back up and just getting another card as well. Which is interesting. So you're kind of looking at playing high numbers to get rid of them. But also like trying to not take the other cards. So if you've got if you're collecting a set of sit-ups, playing sit-up 4 will get you maybe more sit-ups. I don't know. Get rid of cards that are not in the suit that you want to do. And then you also have the other strategic thing of I never want to do sit-ups, I'm going to get rid of all my sit-ups. Alright. Players check their hands for sets. If a player has a set of 4 cards that share a color or share a number, they can be discarded. When a set is discarded, move the track 1 space towards your victory. Phase 4. Activate track conditions. Game pally continues until our player reaches the win, their corresponding win space, right? Corresponding win space on the track. I don't have that much space. I might drop the font down one size. Just shuffle things up a little bit so I get a bit more space. Okay. The track. So whenever a player discards a set, the track moves one space towards that player. The track starts in the center, and whenever the paperclip moves onto a new space, that effect is triggered. In the center, both players draw a card. In the outermost spaces, the names the player closest to that space wins. The other two spaces force the opponent to draw a card. That's how the track works. I need to move this. That's how the track works. Winning the game. When a player wins the game by moving on to their corresponding track space, the game ends. The losing player then adds all the numbers and exercises I only just now spell it correctly for the first time, but anyway. Losing player adds all the numbers and exercises together and must perform them immediately for the amusement of the other player. This means that, that a hand of 3 squats and 4 lunges means that 3 squats and 4 lunges must be performed. Alright, fit on the screen. Reset the track. I didn't mention the reset the track card. So, winning the game. Move these down. The track. Reset the track card may be discarded by a player in the first phase of a turn to return the track to the center space. This activates the track immediately. Okay, we need the game. When a player. Alright, I'm just gonna put my logo onto the bottom. And then my name, and then we're gonna build the PNP files. So we're at 120 currently. Let's shrink this down. Shrink this down some more. Still doesn't have a name yet. This is going to be the next 37 minutes, isn't it? Well, actually, doing a set at the gym is like a term that overlaps. So something like sets and reps could work. It's like slightly punny, which I'm on board with. Rule booklet. Yes, so now I need to make cards files. A4 page, new guide. Whoops. Bugger off. It's this one, which is age 25, and then 1650, and then 2275. No, that's not correct. 2475. That's right. Having a moment. Not at my most powerful today, huh? 3375. I need a guide here, I need a guide here. And then open up all the cards. So rather than doing double layers, I'm just gonna punch each one in twice. No, I think I do a lot. Just accidentally open the file. I'll try and move it over. Alright, make a new folder. PNP. Page 1. I still need one sit up though. Just add another one. It's fine. Whoops, bit of overlap. Alright, get in there. Sit up 4. I look forward to never ever playing this game. But fortunately, I think mechanically it's, whoops, I can just do this. Mechanically, I think it would be interesting to play. need to make like a game mode that's for, I mean, some people are probably watching this video and they're like, well, you know, 3 squats, that's nothing, you know. And we should make like an extra difficult version of the game where it's like 10, 20, 30, 40, and then people are like, oh, it's too much. In fact, like, timesing it all by 5 probably wouldn't even be the worst. For those people, not a big exercise person. Lunge 2. I'm really happy with how these flat icons turned out. For me, that was the challenge, like not making the game, not coming up with a really funky title, actually getting the graphic design looking okay. So there's 4 of these. And it fits out quite nicely. Alright, save as page 4. Okay, now we go automate PDF presentation. Minimize a bunch of stuff. Browse. Open up PNP. Pick all these things. Alright, looks like we're gonna score under 130, which is really exciting. Sets and reps. Don't need this. Alright. Looks like, are we gonna cut it under 127? Bam, 127.48. So, new high score, that's gonna be really tough to beat later on. 127. And that gives us the, let me go, hello. The folder. Sets and reps. So that gives us the print and play files here. Got all of our cards. They look pretty good. Pretty happy with that. The track looks awful and the rule page looks awful, but it's functional. That's all that matters. So I hope you found this video at least interesting. Maybe you learned something a bit about using Photoshop or putting ideas together or making cards or how much I hate exercise. If you're keen to grab a hold of these print and play files and give it a go for yourself, I would thoroughly enjoy seeing photos or videos of people playing my games. This one will be put up on Patreon as a free download. When the video goes live, you'll be able to find the link in the description with all the files available for you to download, just that print and play document that I just showed off. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a comment, click like, click subscribe. These things all make me feel good and make me want to continue doing this video series, so I'd really appreciate that. And yeah, I hope this gave you some inspiration for your game design journey. So thanks for joining along, and I'll probably catch you next time.